What's up, guys? Welcome, Lauren Pritchard, doing this quick stream about reminding you of the missing kids this time of year. I believe it's a Halloween thing, the ritual of throwing a shoe or a toy on the side of the road. It is symbolic of ritual murder, and it's always one. It's always, well, I've only ever seen just like one shoe. Um, Sometimes a toy, a stuffed animal. But yeah, your girl found some today. It's been a while. I and it's such a runaround with the. Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my "Don't Feed the Jezebel" shirt. Our longtime friend of the channel, Megan, Arrowhead Poet, she sent me this like years ago. And I just found it again. I don't know. I think I tucked it away for some reason. It was like too much for the time, but now like, bring back the "Don't Feed the Jezebel." Don't feed the Jezebel, guys. She's an insatiable woman who's addicted to misery. Get away from her. Whore of Babylon. Who perpetuates this bullshit culture? It's a whore of Babylon. Oh, at least they're not killing my narcissistic kids. Oh, at least they're killing other kids. Well, at least I'm still getting, my big cup of filth that floweth over that I think are blessings that God's going to make me drink 10 times the amount. She don't know. The delusional woman. Um, and it is all tied in. This is Baal Moloch worship. This is like, old world Lucifer, Satan, Moloch, sacrificing to Moloch and Baal. And then it's the whore of Babylon that perpetuates that. I forgot what the unholy trinity bitch's name was back then, but it's the same thing repackaged time and time again. It's the same type of spiritual energy. It's demonic. It's death. Well, we could call death good. I mean, death isn't the worst thing in the world, but this is something ritualistic. This is something that perpetuates a culture that we are promised deliverance from at the end of our Bible. So when you see these things, here's the story. I found a mechanic near my house because the one near my place of work, they're just too busy. It's too commercial, too corporate. The service used to be really good, but it's been dwindling away. And the dudes barely make eye contact. You can kind of tell they probably watch porn and just are just deceived. Typical. Not all of them, but it's like got the general vibe. There's a general deadness, overreaching that I hope comes back. Hope comes back for some people, and all that. Like the thing with my cars, some of those dudes are nice, but there's just a thing about like a dead internet theory. Like the world is like a metaphor for the dead internet. And it's like, damn, like the places I used to really enjoy, like in Austin, Texas, for example, in the city, it's like I haven't enjoyed them in years. And if I went back nowadays, it's like I cannot handle the energy. It's too dark. It's too something or other. It's a shame, but that is the way the world is going. So I found another place by my house so I can transport easily, and I decided to walk back because the Lyft didn't, like, no one wanted to pick me up from Lyft because it's out in the country, but it's only a 3-minute drive. So I was like, well, I'll walk back. It was funny because I wouldn't have thought to walk from the shop to my house, but it was a 3-minute drive, and I thought, it's like I was so convicted. I'm gonna walk back, right? Because I'm not gonna go to the gym today, so I'll get my workout in, and then also it's good for my mental health, to be outside. Yeah, I'm inhaling exhaust from the stupid road, but see another piece of my surroundings. Didn't think this is what I was gonna find, but was not surprised. I'm never surprised. Never surprised when I see this stuff, especially around Halloween. So it's a 2 mile walk. So about a mile away from my house, I'm on the main road. I'm in between the veterinarian and the Creedmoor Elementary School. It technically we're in Austin, Texas, but it's the little stretch called Creedmoor. There's a very famous, like locally famous dump there. They put in a really nice dump and everyone loves it. Well, what are they dumping? What's going on back there? Just saying. Just saying. I'm not accusing it to be connected to this, but I always wonder what people do with dead bodies because people die like crazy and like crazy like what do you do with the bodies? Where do they go? Who deals with them? I feel like some of the white Satanists are the people that have to deal with decomposing bodies. I don't know why stuff crosses my mind because things are getting more morbid. You see the death toll really like coming down the pike. And years ago, I haven't seen this stuff in years. Mostly I've been out in this country for a year and a half, 2 years, 2 years. But I used to encounter these people that I'm like, I swear you give me the vibe that you and your family deal with dead bodies. Like you kill people and like you have to deal with dead bodies a lot. Like I just got that vibe from so many people in Austin. Like being surrounded by so many satanic people, Satanist families. Not all Satanists are bad, but they all know that this stuff is going on. And so working closely with survivors of satanic ritual abuse, the arrogance of the perpetrators of these types of crimes. I have a lot of evidence on my phone, actually. My Apple Cloud has a lot of examples of this kind of stuff because I've been taking pictures of this stuff for years and trying to tell people mostly back in 2020, 2021, when I was living in Riverside, Austin, Texas, and I was kind of in the downtown area. And then working closely with homeless people, satanic ritual survivors. A lot of the homeless people are, orphans of the state, and a lot of them were trafficked. And so they're really wonderful people. They were a wonderful resource to kind of cross compare testimony analysis of, what certain things, and then they get your trust, and then they remember a little bit more. This guy told me, beautiful man, it used to be because he was a lot older. When he was a little kid, he said, because a lot of the ritual abuse, there's certain symbols that are very common that they use across the board. He said when he was a kid, the perpetrators would wear clown costumes, clown masks. And he said that he found out recently, he said, is now actually a unicorn. So they've diluted our pop culture and the stuff we're wearing and, stickers, emojis, kids' clothing. They're really diluting kids' clothing with a lot of what used to be old symbols. It's like they kind of recycle out the symbols. So the clown, at some point the clown was no longer the symbol. There was a new symbol. And he said it was the unicorn. And I'm aware that unicorn used to mean women who abduct children for ritual murder and abuse. A lot of these bitches out there, they have no empathy. Their entire personality is just based on collecting data on how to appear as if they have empathy. But a lot of these bitches have zero empathy whatsoever. And everyone looks at women like they're supposed to be naturally nurturing and maternal. I don't care if she gives you hugs and makes you food. If that bitch has truly no empathy or cannot critically think enough to put two dots together and is offended by this material, don't feed the Jezebel. Don't feed that bitch. Don't be around her. Come away from her, my people. That's what the Bible says. Before the plagues fall on them. Before the plagues fall on her. And they were referred to as unicorns. Avocado is a symbol for human breeding. It's symbolic of the pregnant woman that's basically strung up like a cow on a some kind of chain to a pole with a bunch of other women strung up like cows. human breeding. I think that's actually largely been cracked down on. Ella Emhoff, Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, used to make artwork about this stuff, depicting exactly what I'm talking about. The symbol for that is the avocado. So these symbols have become really diluted, and it makes it difficult now because back in the day they could identify each other, and then I could identify them based on the symbols. But then they started diluting the symbols all over the place. So I don't know. Are there new symbols, or are these people just the Walking Dead? They don't need them. It's over. We're at the end times. Do they need new symbols? Are they using new symbols? Um, I don't know. Are they just the Walking Dead? Just just eating, breathing, shitting machines, money spending, policy enforcing, just numbskull NPC dumb fucks. I don't know. Um, so I was walking past the school, and I see this little boy shoe, just one shoe. I mean, the grass is mowed recently. For some reason they really mow the grass on the side of the highways out where I live. I don't know the DPS, which is the not DPS, Department of Public Safety, but when I say DPS in this sense, I think it's the name of the dump. They do a lot to like preserve the look of the area, and part of that is they mow the grass next to the highway. It's not a full blown highway; it's a main road. It's FM 1327 exit 223 off of I-35. Um, so it's like freshly mowed. So these were not out there very long. Okay. So first thing I see is this little boy's Air Jordan. Now I think it's interesting of the unicorn. I also think the Air Jordan is interesting because isn't this the shoe that's like got kids brainwashed? Sorry, teens really like these shoes. Isn't Air Jordan like that like shoe that they put blood in and was like isn't it all modeled after Air Jordan? So I also think that's interesting. It's just one little Air Jordan. And so I saw this one first, and I almost didn't pick it up because it reminded me of back in the day. I used to see this shit all the time. Like I can't even like get emotionally involved. I can't even get emotionally upset anymore because I've seen this stuff. So, like it's almost like second nature to me to see toys, shoes, articles of clothing on the side of the road in a ritualistic manner. What's so ritualistic about it? It's always just one shoe. Well, in this case, it's two because it's two different kids. I suspect they keep the other shoe. So these items are spiritually charged. Whether you want to believe me or not doesn't matter. I mean, if you don't believe me, you're not helping anybody, and if you're not interested, that's fine. You can be of service somewhere else. Not everybody has the stomach, not everybody has the interest in this kind of thing, and that's okay. But the believer's the one who actually helped me, and that's okay if you're not into this department. People have their own ways they contribute to society. This is the way I contribute to society. So what I really don't like is when people try to say something say something I'm an expert in, that I've been doing this for a long time. So yeah, the one shoe and then the other shoe. And then I thought I would bring it to the local police, which is different for me. It never in the past, ever in the past, would I think to call. This is the last people I would think to call. But in my naivety, I thought like the whole thing about satanic abuse, child trafficking, human trafficking, this stuff got so mainstream since 2020. Back 2020, I would barely even tell anybody. It's why I have my YouTube channel. I would tell people on my YouTube channel. Helps me get it out of my body so I don't die from chronic illness, so I don't go crazy from keeping all this stuff in. Thank you for tuning in. I need this channel to get it out of my body, get the words out of my body, and also you can't like tell anyone. And you certainly can't go to the cops unless you know a good cop that actually want to do something. I wouldn't get mad or be jaded. That's not their job. Okay, you think it is, but that's just the grand facade. It's not their job. There is not a place for it that I've ever seen. But there sure is a lot of missing kids. There sure is a lot of effort around missing kids. They want to go out and collect the kids whose biological mother stole them from the biological father who probably started abusing them. Those are the alerts I suspect. It's like I always look to see, is this a bio family member probably trying to help that kid get out of an abusive situation, and the state is like, no, put them back. I could be wrong. There could be some good things to it, but um, awful lot of missing kids, but they just want to focus on the ones that are in some kind of detriment because of some kind of BS in the states involved. But a lot of these kids here in Texas is not as common as upstate New York, where I'm from. It's because of the border crisis. So you have tons of children with virtually no name. They don't have parents. They don't have a name. Definitely don't have a social security number. They're nameless. I think that's why it's such a problem down here, and perhaps one of the reasons why the cops won't get involved. But so yeah, I took the shoes and then finished my walk, got in my car, went to the Mustang Ridge Police Department because Creedmoor, I went to the city hall. They don't actually have a police department. And they told me to go to Travis County. And I was like, hell no. Travis County knows who I am. Like, hell no. Not going to Travis County. Pretty infamous in Travis County for exactly this. They didn't like it. Obviously, they didn't like it. Sorry about ya. Gamer, I win. Devil doesn't win. I went to Mustang Ridge. Just walked into. They have a very small courtroom, very small little municipal area for the police. And I just caught them as they were walking out. And in my naivety, I'm thinking this is 3-4 years later. Everybody knows about satanic abuse. In my naivety, everyone knows about child trafficking. Everyone knows there's an absurd amount of missing kids. And in my naivety, I thought everyone knew about this stuff. It's like you guys, the things that I think and say to me are so normal that I don't even know what people think is crazy that comes out of my mouth. Because for every crazy thing you think I'm saying, I can say stranger things have happened. Look around the world. Look how dark and wicked and evil this world is. Look at the UFO phenomenon. People physically seeing people with black eyes, literally turning into demons, sleep paralysis. Like, for every weird thing someone says that I've ever said or has ever happened to me or any tip that I've ever been on, I could say 10 times worse of stranger things that are happening in this world. Okay? So I just thought everyone knew this. So I, walk into the police department and I just was like, I just found these on the side of the road. It was really suspicious and I thought I would make a report because in my mind, there's DNA on these items. This is just my thought process. Okay, DNA. Everyone's talking about DNA, collecting DNA testing. Your DNA is stored somewhere, your fingerprint's stored somewhere. So, in my naivety, because I'm more on like the spiritual side of things. I'm more on like the surveillance side of things. I don't know, especially within like the systematic way of cracking down on these things. They do DNA testing or anything like that. So I'm thinking these are 2 missing kids out there. And there's probably DNA from the kids on the shoes. It's their feet. At least around the ankle. Isn't DNA in everything? And, then it can be quickly, in my naivety, because this is the way the world should be. We're smart enough. I believe we have the technology. I believe it's possible. I believe this stuff could be streamlined, which is probably exactly why we need a new world order. The New Agers that are like, oh, I want to be a threat to the New World Order. I'm going to raise my kid to be a threat to the New World Order. I want a partner to survive the New World Order with. I don't think it's all you think it's cracked up to be. Like, when this stuff is going on, I'm like, we need a new world order. So this shit can be streamlined. So this shit doesn't happen. The beast throws off the whore. We're delivered from Mystery Babylon. Who is that? It's that wicked female perpetuating a culture that is sacrificed to Moloch and Baal. So yeah, we needed a new world order where the beast throws off the whore and all these bitches die, turn into zombies, some fucking plague takes them out. If they don't take themselves out and try and kill their husbands and your children at the same time, it's they're fucking nuts. I got a Lyft ride today from a woman. It's like a 3-minute ride. She refused to pull in the parking lot, and they were like, because it was like concierge from the mechanic shop, and they were like, we're sorry, man, but your Lyft driver is refusing to pull into the parking lot here, and we don't know why, but it's a couple. She's out there. You can go meet her at the entrance of the gate, and I was like, okay. So I get picked up by this woman and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to drive over a nail." Which is understandable because I don't know, I guess it's sort of an industrial looking, like warehouse looking place, but also like cars drive in and out of there. These women can't connect dots, right? They're just kind of like insane, addicted to misery, and have OCD. And I'm just being super friendly as I am, and I'm sitting kind of cross-legged with like the tiniest bit of my sandal on the chair, the back seat, which already has a covering over it, protecting it. And we're like halfway through a sentence in friendly conversation, and she goes, "Oh my god, would you mind taking your foot off? I mean, there's no mud on my shoe." And I'm just kind of sitting to where like my sandal, the edge of my sandal is like dangling a little bit on the chair. And she thinks there's mud all over my shoes. These women are just kind of losing their minds. And she's like, "Oh my god, would you mind taking your shoe off of that? I'm sorry, there's mud on your shoe and I don't want it to get on the seat." Like mid-friendly conversation, like so awkward. So they're addicted to misery. They're addicted to making uncomfortable situations. It's possession. This demonic possession of the spectrum that is these neurotic women, the delusional woman. It's a spectrum. So it's like, damn, haven't encountered one of those in a while either, right? Because I get away from these people. I got away from these people. Got away from those people. So, anyways, needless to say, the cop didn't want to make a report, but also, like, because I'm no spring chicken to talking to them about these things. I don't, but like it's not talking to them. It's actually them in the past they would ask me if like they could help me, and I'm like, no, you actually can't. Like you way too many parameters, and I think most of the time they just wanted to try and I don't know who the hell knows and who cares. God reigns supreme. God is victorious. The Holy Spirit, fire of psychic soldiers, reigns supreme in this world, and that will never change. So, no, they can't help us. And I don't know what their motives are because I don't know what these people are. I mean, sometimes they feel like robots to me, just dead, like kind of like dead walking robots that are just there to, I don't know, respond to 911 calls and just give out tickets and do what they do for the community. But what they do for the community is not this stuff. They do not care. At least I've never met a department that cares. I've never met a cop that is willing to take on anything. And I don't think they actually have the technology that should be utilized, which is why we need a new world order. So yeah, he's like, "Oh, I don't want to make a report on that." He's like, "Because they're not going to do anything with it." He's like, "I also don't want to turn you away." Like this is just polite, awkward conversation. People collect data on how to appear as if they're just like us. This politeness, this awkward politeness. But like many times interacting with these cops, they rarely feel human. Rarely. very rarely, like, it's funny as I'm saying this, I'm like, "Oh my god, there was that one woman and that one man, like, beautiful people." They stand out in my mind because every other cop I've met do not feel even close to human. Like, not like I'm insulting. I'm not mad about what they are. I'm not mad about if there are robots and reptilians running around. I'm not mad about it. It's just a little fun fact. And this is also why they're very strange. This is also why this world needs a new world order. It needs a good shakeup. It needs a good cleansing. It needs a good purifying because we can't continue. So, coming up on approaching Halloween, this stuff increases. I believe this stuff increases leading up to Halloween because I believe this is a ritual that is associated with All Hallows Eve. There are different rituals they do, in the holy season, which is like April, May. They also have their own rituals that they do around that time. And this time around, it's also a ritualistic period that is connected to All Hallows Eve. So if you want to share any tips about that below, you can. Somebody did leave a nice message. She said did see one single child's Croc, the little Crocs shoes in the playground, and she said she got a funny feeling because she eyed this. If I'm telling this correctly, she eyed up the shoe, and then she saw that there was some guy who was watching her observe the shoe, and she said in the comment it was like so weird that she decided not to take it, which is like everyone use their own discernment. Every situation is different. Um, but that's kind of interesting. And so if the cops don't do anything about this stuff, I'm also not mad because it's not in their parameters. Also, they don't have the spiritual authority that God's people do. These are spiritually charged items. When they're laying on the side of the road, it's sigil magic. So it's like collecting energy based on the other people who see it that are also in on it, that are like, yeah, there's another one. It's like a game maybe for them. I don't know, some kind of like Pokemon, gotta find them all, gotta catch them all, like, oh, found another Pokemon for these satanic people. Oh, there's another shoe on the side of the road, it like gives them fuel and they're like sucking up the Moloch energy. But it also supercharges these items. This becomes sigil magic. So the only weird thing, other than the cop, these people are just so weird as it is, but the like truly logistics wise, the only weird thing was at the end of the conversation, he wanted to take these items. And I sort of just with the authority in me was like, I even like physically like threw them back. I was like, no, I'm going to keep these. Like, you're not going to take them. And I don't know if he was taken back by my like authority and firmness. And no, like I was like, no, not dramatic like I am being for you, but I mean, it was just kind of like there was like an authority in me that just said no. In the body language said no. That's not even that out of the ordinary, and it wasn't dramatic at all. But it was weird because he was taken back by that. I don't know if he was taken back by like the spiritual authority asserting itself over him, or I don't know what. It just that was the only like weird kind of moment with like I mean, it's all weird, but because I'm so used to these interactions, it's like, okay, this is typical cop behavior. Um, but it did kind of feel like there was this unconscious spirit in him that told him to get the items because I do believe these are spiritually charged items. So if the police won't do anything with it, they're doing better in my um, in my possession because of my God, right? And now they're on here, right? So thank you guys for tuning in. This channel is really dwindling away. I think people are really falling away from the faith. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate the thumbs up too. People seem to really be falling away. I don't know, maybe it's because I get like virtually blackout and talk shit, but I mean, that's just like normal human behavior. I mean, it's not normal, but it's the best I got. It's the best I can do for you right about now. Trust. Um, and there's no end in sight for that. So I want to get this out there before I wind down, which is me drinking less alcohol than I would like to drink because I have to moderate, drugging myself with some CBD. I got some sleep 3. I got some magnesium. I can't sleep for shit. It's probably mostly related to being reliant on these things, but taking the risk of trying to sleep without it means I don't sleep. So, we got a whole screwed up thing going on here because it's not healthy or natural to be alone all the time. So, when I was with my boyfriend, I slept like a baby next to him with not a single drop of alcohol, not, overeating or just normal feeling. I think that there's so much to understand about male and female relationships and illness. Also, stress, sleep, and illness. I think when men and women are in unison with each other, I don't think there's like any illness. You sleep wonderfully. But we've been in a weird situation where I think there's a lot of mismatch pairings going on. Like don't want to date the narcissist. Little sons of Lucifer, they're like halflings. So, it's not worth it to me because the other half of them is channeling the serpent, whose God is in direct opposition to my God, which for me is quite amusing until after a while you're like, this isn't going to go anywhere. Like this is like it's literally going nowhere because the God in you, the serpent in you, is at odds with the God in me. And then because they're halflings, they're half human. Like half the time, you get some decent sleep. Half the time, you feel healthier. But then those are also the people that can make you feel the most unhealthy. They're also the placeholders in your life where someone else should be who would actually bring you better health. Those people will give you chronic illness if you stayed with them for too long. Thanks, Hugh. He says, keep doing good deeds. Thanks, Hugh. Keep an eye out for these things. Share them if you can. Take them. Say a prayer over them. What's up, Need to Fish? Saying that about the internet for a couple decades. How people encapsulating this energy. Yes, like the dead internet theory. It's like, I don't know that it wasn't originally intended to kind of be cryptically talking about society in general. Like AI and this whole thing is very it's representative of something that's actually happening in society. Like I'm not even sure. Like when the dead internet theory came out, you're like, okay, yeah, probably. But I more so thought they were talking about humanity as a whole. I mean, how many girls just parrot things off of the internet? Like, oh my god, so cutesy, so demure. The fuck? The Lulu. It's giving this, it's giving that. There's like a whole personality that people have adapted from the environment around them. And that's fine. But this is not the environment we want anymore, right? Like this environment is upside down. So I will be so curious to see how these robo chicks evolve when the environment around them collapses. Because when the environment around me collapses, I will feel at peace. I will feel a sense of relief. When the sky falls, you and I are going to feel a sense of relief. When shit hits the fan, you and I, God's people, real Christians, not deceived Christians, not satanic Christians, we're going to feel a sense of relief. It's redemption, Judgment Day. So I am most curious to see how the robo chicks are going to evolve past that. But yeah, for now they're just running around parroting a narrative that they all say. So they're all saying it. They're all doing the same shit. And astrology's gay. I'm so over astrology. It's so dumb. It's so gay and dumb. Saw a quote. I think it's Charles Bukowski says, "Happiness comes from knowing yourself, like knowing your identity, and it's a problem when people don't identify as humanity with love, or they never thought about it, right? They're just deceived. That's all. So people naturally try to find this dopamine, this happiness by identifying with anything in the world. And now you have the people cult that are all parroting the same shit they see. We're all seeing it for the most part in social media. And now you just have this like personality of printed off the factory line. Just another one printed off the factory line. Oh, another one printed off the factory line. And they're like, cutesy, demure. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. They're like Furbies. They're just like Furbies parroting a narrative. I don't mean to be mean. It's just suspicious. That's all. It's just suspicious. I mean, how many real people are out there? Is this just like we just need to find each other now and just get the hell out of here? Because that'd be nice. I feel like that's what God is really drawing his people to do right now. So by talking about the things that interest me, like finding this shit, telling people about it, this is how I find my people also. This is God bringing his people together. You don't give a shit about this stuff, or you want me, or you have some kind of negative satanic opinion about it, then guess what? Don't come around me no more. That's fine. I'm not mad about it. But the people that really vibe with this stuff, they stick around. They become your people. And it's time to unite for this kind of end times moment. But anyways, did you come to find out? Did you see they found like the original audio of that cutesy demure, and it's just like morbidly obese gay guy with makeup on. It's just like something weird. I don't know. It's just so creepy to me because I'm like a lot of these insecure females, not saying they're all insecure, but a lot of the insecure females to me are like a big fat gay dude in like a girl with body dysmorphia, skinny body. They need big tits, they need to shave off their nose, they need to put poison in their ass to make it look bigger. Like to me, it's like just these big, fat, morbid. No, nothing against fat people, but like unhealthy, morbidly obese, gay dudes. Deep down, and they're all running around saying the word of the week, and then the original audio came from some big fat gay dudes, super insecure people. It's sad. These people are deceived. The culture is terrible. And we are just drowning in a sea of not cool. Like the music's not good. The personalities are not good. Like I'm not having fun, right? This is the most fun that I'm going to have because until the people that are drowning out the fun, drowning out the good art, the good music, right? The like real stuff. They're like drowning out real humanity's gifts, talents, psychic abilities, technology, the ability to quickly identify whose shoes these are. That I believe that technology is out there. It's not to resist against the New World Order. You need it. You just never curse God no matter what happens. And if it makes you uncomfortable, you die for the faith, go straight to heaven. Come back 3.5 years later. Because this whole thing's going to happen. The New World Order is just like World War 3.5. Then there's a World War 4. Maybe not even a war, but a plague. And then Jesus comes back. The stuff happens all like you get the New World Order and people are like, oh my God, terrible. No. It's not terrible yet. It's going to happen again. And that's the New World Order is in 2 phases. First phase is to get rid of the people, just slowing us down, right? They can't help, can't be bothered. The system can't make a report. Do you know that I tried to expunge my record of criminal trespassing for not wearing a mask on the bus? Which I found the video footage, by the way. It's in the Apple cloud. I found it. That shit went viral when it happened. I tried to expunge my record with a lawyer, and my dad's helped me out. And I go to get fingerprinted. They allegedly send it to Department of Public Safety. They check it. They send back the report, and it's supposed to go to me. But I've done it 3 times over now. I can't get. It's just not happening. I can't get this record because when I call the fingerprinting, they tell me to call DPS. DPS tells me to call fingerprinting. Fingerprinting tells me to call DPS. DPS tells me to call fingerprinting. And then they say, oh, it only lasts for 30 days. Oh, it only lasts for 6 months. Oh, you got to do it again. I will not do it again at this point. Like, will not do it again. Unless it's all manual, the results are instant. If I can do it directly at DPS. And I contact my lawyer, and he's like, did you contact DPS? And I'm like, I don't think y'all understand. There's some absurd barrier to entry that I am not willing to keep running around in this little hamster wheel anymore because no one's giving me a solution to solve this problem that just keeps happening. Costs me money, costs me time, and a lot of energy. Because these systematic little weird things, I mean, maybe it's partly for my own protection. Who knows? Only God knows. But it's like, this stuff is like, it's supposed to be so streamlined. It's not supposed to be so difficult. But people screw stuff up. They make it difficult. They want their little competition with all their little stupid businesses. I'm not saying this is in this situation, but like even in the tech world, like they can't fathom a one world AI because they think they thrive on competition. How about if you got the best product, we're using your product. Everyone's using your product until something better comes along. Is that still competition? I don't know. How about everybody just make the best thing the best? I had a dream where it was like a group of like townspeople, and there was some kind of dispute, an argument, like some kind of problem that needed to be solved. And I finally stood up and I was like, I actually don't like money, you guys. Like, I don't care if we all just decide to stop using money. I was like, I'm down for that. Because it was sort of something where like money was making it so where we couldn't solve this problem. Maybe a group of like 30 people, level-headed people, right? Because we're all moving to similar areas. So it was like a local town's community. And I was like, actually, if y'all are cool with this, I was like, I don't like money. Like, I don't need to use it. We can all just like work together and just like be down for whatever and just help and just like make the best thing the best thing. And it was so quickly, easily received from half the people. Like half the people were like, actually, that sounds like it might work. The other half were like, I'd rather die. And so we're like, I mean, okay. I mean, what is money? It makes no sense to me. Sometimes I have like, it's just like, where did it come from? It doesn't make any sense. And then the desolation of it doesn't make any sense. The trends, the economic trends, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm full-time booked 3 weeks in a row after 2 months of being so like daily bread. Give us this day our daily bread. And then busy, and then absolutely like virtually nobody. What? It doesn't make any sense. Gives more credit to not only dead internet theory, but living internet theory. The living internet theory, like God's got his hand on all of our lives. This is why you just surrender to the plan. And I think that when we are pulled into some kind of recalibration, we're all being pulled into some kind of recalibration. And it's not to fight against it, because I also notice a weird trend when there is this recalibration where it's like all God's people, like, no one's coming to get their hair done. I'm not working, like it's dead. There's also weird tension of other consumers. For example, it's usually that if you want to get your hair done, so the last time this recalibration phase happened, a month ago, it's customary that if you want to get your hair done, you go research a good hairdresser and then you go to that hairdresser or word of mouth. But the last time there was a recalibration, it was a big recalibration. A lot of people were, their books are very sparse. So what the dead internet consumers did, if you don't mind me saying, I'm not saying I know this to be true, it's a theory of mine. So what the dead internet of consensus of consumers did, all these people started saying like, who wants to do my hair? I would like a full blonde and extensions. Who wants to do my hair? And I was like, I'm not responding to this shit. This is something weird. And it wasn't just one person. It was like two, three. Like people are just popping off. Like for a moment in time, this became a trend. Who wants to do my hair? It's like, girl, that's not how it works. Do you look for a gynecologist and say, who wants to take a look at my snatch? Like, no. What the hell? You seek out a professional from word of mouth, or, but I don't know. Did the dead internet think that the people who were in the recalibration phase were desperate? No, we're never going to be desperate. God's people don't carry a frequency of desperation. At least we're not lukewarm, beach. God's people are not lukewarm. So when there's something going on and we don't quite understand it, we observe, right? We become amused by our circumstances as God always works them out. You know? All right. I'm going to read your comments and then take off. Kids' shoes and toys lying abandoned in parks and the streets are so common where I live. Where do you live, Hugh? Thanks for sharing. Milwaukee, it was kids' shoes over power lines. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was saying how so in this situation, it's one shoe on the side of the road. So does anybody know what the two shoes stringed together and thrown over a power line are? Because I do look at them. It's usually adult shoes, and from what my parents said from back in the day, it meant you got your ass kicked. So back in the day, if you got your ass kicked at school or outside of, well, you wouldn't at school, right? Outside of school, it was like the teenage kids, they would take that boy or girl's shoes and they would throw them over the power line. And that was symbolic of this person got their ass kicked. Is that still the case? Because I did see shoes stringed up over a power line around the same area, but I chose to just focus on these because I don't know. Holy Spirit, tell us. Has that meaning changed? No, punani, parani. It's another word for Whore Babylon or rage terms. Punani, parana. Piranha, punani. Yeah, these bitches will drag you to hell. It's people, the narcissists. They confuse love for lust. They confuse pleasure for joy. What else? They confuse beauty for power. This is why, like, my last Muslim boyfriend, naturally, he's a little beast, so he's surrounded by these just super decrepit, predatory, satanic Muslim people, which is my job to get him away from them, break the cult up, stir the pot a little bit, sort him out, bifurcate this little region of the world or this little region of our spirituality. And he, at one point, like, because he's like mind controlled, so at one point he referred to these people as beautiful, the most beautiful people. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like they confuse beauty. It's like they confuse beauty for power. And I noticed that as a trend. How did all these men that I've dated end up around the most predatory satanic groups and not notice it, even though it was plain as day, even though it was blatantly obvious to see, especially when I pointed it out? And they go back into their little mind control and they're like, these people are beautiful. It's because they mistake beauty for power, just like they mistake uh, joy for pleasure, pleasure for joy. Am I saying it right? They mistake love for lust, lust for love. They mistake lust for love. Yeah, they mistake lust is love. This is all ass backwards. This culture needs a good switching off, right? Flip the switch off, you know? Stop breeding like rabbits also. Like stop breeding, switch the flip the switch. I'm not going to do anything violent about it, but you can imagine plagues, famines, pestilences. I was wondering today, I'm like, dude, maybe some of these migrants will be like hot dudes. I'm now like not like an act on it. I find it's funny. I've never looked at Middle Eastern men, but since dating Bear Kai, I now look at. I am attracted to Middle Eastern men. I notice them at least, and I think more white chicks should be attracted to Middle Eastern men, so long as they're not narcissistic. Little halfling serpents denounce Jesus. Listen, he accepted the gospel of salvation. He's still biologically a halfling, right? Still biologically Muslim. It's in the heart, right? Jesus is in the heart, and you can see it in the eyes. It is like a goodness. There's like a trueness. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I don't know. It's on like it's between him and God now. I don't like babysitting past a certain point. It starts to feel like babysitting. Get in, get on with your life. Okay. But I find myself attracted to Middle Easterns more than ever. And I was like, well, maybe some of these terrorists aren't like the worst people in the world, because America's the worst country in the world in half the sense, in the sense of Mystery Babylon, that shit we don't like, most satanic, the most human trafficking, the most pornography. Our greatest domestic product is human trafficking, the worst country. So when these terrorists come in, it's like, these might actually be suitable men to God's women in America if they're actually masculine, God-fearing, right? Not the ones doing the violent crimes against the innocent. I don't know, like, because the dudes here in America, they're too effeminate, or they polarize themselves to a Lilith instead of an Eve, and now they don't want a divorce because they're not supposed to, and now it leaves another. It's like it leaves you. Now you are not a resource for a good woman because you're taken by a woman whose tongue is probably going to rot out of her socket. The eyes rot out of the sockets. It's in the Bible. So clearly the tides need to change. The tides need to flip. The pole needs to flip. Yeah, that's a C and not cool. Cute. I Hope It Hurts by Jesse Murph. I know, I can't even think about that. Yeah, you're given the runaround by the cops. So I gotta give credit to this cop. He at least picked up on the fact that, like, I know my shit and we were not gonna do this. But for a moment, he tried to think. He's like, well, I mean, were there any events at the school within the last week that would require children to take their shoes off? And I was just kind of like, I just left. I just leave people politely. I politely leave people in their own awkward silence to bask in when they try and gaslight me like that, because I know it's unconscious. I know it's subconscious, but it's also so stupid. I cannot still have dignity and answer your question. Like, some questions do not require an answer. In fact, I would lose dignity. I would be too nice if I didn't not say anything. I mean, and he quickly like changed the subject because no. But they do. They try to they're just subconsciously programmed to gaslight you. Like, I mean, and they were not at the school. They were in between the school and the veterinary office. These are several acres apart. But yeah, he's like, I mean, it's a school. They have an event that would require them to take their shoes off. Maybe I can't. I can't. I got so stupid. I can't even answer it. I cannot spiritually consent to the absurdity of the reality that that man just tried to create for me. I cannot engage because language is that important. That's an invitation to enter into his reality where you actually need to have dialogue with these people in some type of logical manner where there is irrational and illogical thinking. There is no ability to critical think, only an ability to intimidate and gaslight. That was an invitation to enter dialogue into his world. But the spiritual authority in me, I keep the dialogue grounded in my world. And the narcissist will do that a lot. They try to get you to speak in their world. Only for older people will I do that because they grew up in a different world. Like, speaking of worlds, like for older people, seniors, like I'll absolutely engage in that bullshit because they're older and it's kind of cute and funny. They are a completely different generation. But no, if I'm talking to somebody under the age of 45, mm-mm. Not saying that 45 and up is older. I mean, some people, spiritual ages are different from physical age. You never know sometimes with people, but you know what I mean? Like, there's like this older generation that you just don't mess with. Just don't mess with them. Don't upset grandma, right? Don't upset grandpa. Don't ask them to step into another reality when they have about fulfilled another one. I don't do it. I don't play these games with the elderly, especially they already got all kinds of chronic illnesses and problems. They already got all kinds of health wreaking havoc on their body. Challenging their reality is you would hope it would heal them, but it might only make their ailments worse. This is bad for people's health. Just like bad relationships are bad for your health. Everything's coming down to health lately. Are you noticing that? Like healthy relationships between men and women, there would be no illness. I've experienced it with my part-time Middle Eastern boyfriend, but unfortunately the other part-time, it's quite the opposite. So, it's not sustainable. AI Hollywood's even lamer. Who wants to take my glamour shots? I know AI Hollywood is getting so ridiculous. Like, I can't help but wonder if they're doing it on purpose. Like, Heidi and Spencer Pratt? It was like Heidi Montag, Spencer Pratt. I'm pretty sure they're Mormons. If they're not Mormons, I think they're biologically Mormon because Mormons have their own fucking spaceship that landed and breeded a ton. Mormons are like another species within a species, and it's something alien, it's something different. Make America be run by hot dudes again. Make America be run by mystical men who did shrooms in a forest, started a religion and a mafia, and called it Mormonism. Like, make America run by mystical dudes again. That story is so wild and interesting. It's all the same story. All our stories are the same story, just repackaged. But Heidi and Spencer Pratt, they're so kind of cute and funny. I'm like, Are they kinda, like, doing it, like, overboard because they know it's ridiculous? Kinda like clowning the whole world? At least that's my hope. But people like Paris Hilton, I'm like, I don't think I think she really is for real. Like, I don't think she's clowning us. I think she's really that plasticky because she collaborates with a lot of, like, nasty satanic bitches, like, nasty little creatures. I don't even know them. They're like space trash pop culture. Not even space trash pop culture. They're like roadkill eating pop culture. Roadkill eaters. I don't know. Just the music that's just so bad, and these people are so creaturey, and it's like this is supposed to be beautiful. This is so far from beauty. It's so weird. Hugh, money allows access to stuff and places, but how you earn money can make you feel terrible about everything. Oh, and Hugh's in Scotland. Yeah, it's a worldwide thing, huh? This is not just in America. Hugh, have you broken free from these men? Of these men? To the best of my knowledge, yeah. I don't look at it as like there's no bitterness. I think deep down like we all know we kind of work together and for some common cause that we're about to find out about. The familiarity is just a little too familiar, you know? The script plays out just a little too effortlessly. The relationship ends a little too friendly for it to not be part of like this bigger grand design that's about to come to its culmination point. That's how I feel about black women. Attracted to their aesthetic when it's real. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I do. I mean, I find good looking black men attractive, but I'm not sexually attracted to them. But I think sexual attraction, when it's not perverted, it means you would have not just strong offspring because I don't care. Like, I mean, it's important, but I think like you have some kind of peace that God wants to make because back in the day, you like pretty much only married people because you wanted to keep the peace or you wanted to bring peace to a nation. So and then simultaneously like I don't feel, I mean they really play up all the racism, black lives matter, white people so racist. Oh my god, Jerry is staring at me like a serial killer from outside the window and it's so funny. God, he's so cute when he's being creepy. He's looking right at me like Michael Myers in the window, but I don't care. He was being annoying to be let out so he can wait a second. Unless Athena starts bothering him, then I have to let him in. But anyways, I know like there's so much to overdo the white against black narrative, but I'll tell you what, I've never felt like blacks were separate from me. Like if they wanted to separate themselves because of their own animosity towards white people, like that's another thing. But I mean, and I also grew up in New York. They abolished slavery first. Like I never really felt this cultural separation with African Americans, black people, whatever they want to be called, brownies. Kanye West just professed. He said, "We're not black, we're Indian," and they're like, it's the funniest video. I keep watching it over and over again because he's so cute. Kanye's like, "How about that? We're not black, we're Indian." He's trying to tell all his black friends. No one seems to care, but I think he's onto something. Because Haley Celeste was like the last like living god people knew, revered as God, and that wasn't that long ago. It was in the 70s. That was in Africa, Ethiopia. He was technically black, but that dude was like Muhammad repackaged. That dude like came back around as a Middle Eastern Indian. You know, these cinnamon brownies, these spicy brownies. Cinnamon brownies, I call them. They do kind of butt up with black culture like very, very easily. Like Haley Selassie, Jamaica, Bob Marley, those were black people. Haley Selassie, black person in Africa, but they were also kind of like Indian, like this Middle Eastern Indian. Similar features. Maybe Nigerians are their own species of dark skinned people. I love Nigerians. Rage dipped out before he could hear this because he's got close ties to Nigeria. Nigerians are the nicest, smartest people. They're so nice and so smart. I don't feel separate from them. I've never felt the separation. Um, but yeah, dating a Middle Eastern, very foreign. Not so much though, but couldn't just hard culture to by the way, his culture was hijacked by satanic Muslims, these fucking bottom feeding cryptids. um I'm just like, they think they're so powerful. The delusional woman, I could never come down off my throne. Fucking Moloch, dude, your ass is going a lake of fire or to jail, straight to jail. They're finding ways to lock people up just from AI surveillance. You're fucked. If that's the way God would have it, or I don't know, plague, nice plague. But because there is no spiritual protection in Middle Eastern Muslim communities, like they're not taught by the Quran how to protect themselves spiritually. They just think like if the dog doesn't like somebody, it means they have bad spirits in them. It just means like if I wear this blue eyeball around my neck, it's going to shield me from everybody and everything. And it's like, no, bitch, you're the evil thing that needs shielding from. So they only have this like hyper westernized depiction of how to protect themselves spiritually. So it allows a lot of evil to bleed and intermix and interbreed, motherfuckers breeding like rabbits, into their culture. So the culture itself is, I actually really, really, really love it. They're very much into servitude. They really like their money and wealth. They appreciate the little things. A lot of Muslim cultures are third world countries, so they appreciate the little things. They know what a luxury it is to have running water for the most part. They know what it's like to have their overlords be so overwhelmingly more rich than they are. Like it's a bigger gap. So they've got similar spiritual issues, just like kind of like us in America, but a lot more third world, like much appreciate the luxuries of America. But there's no spiritual protection because they're not taught it, so they don't have it. And maybe the Jews had the same thing back in 2020. And maybe the Christians kind of went through something similar back in like 2016. How many people left the Christian church? So, now I think it's time for that Muslim culture to really sort themselves out amongst themselves by somehow getting deliverance from the evil in their culture. I don't know how are they going to learn it other than by turning to Christianity. I don't know how else they're going to learn it other than cracking open a Bible, other than asking their Christian friend, turning to their Christian friends, because they're simply not taught it in their culture and it's not in their book. So I don't know. It's interesting. Then so it kind of leaves them with like this massive need for Christians. Like there's this massive need for each other. Also, because they're so steeped into servitude and helping people. That's why the Muslim, speaking of the devil, the Muslim culture is so complementary to the Christian culture because they are so into servitude and helping people. Like they're helpy helpers. They'll help you. They'll help the whore of Babylon herself because they have no spiritual protection. Like they're helpy helpers. They help everybody. They help people. Um, and then in the Christian culture, we are so persecuted, like materialistically, financially, like just if they could kill us, they would, right? But they can't. So the two cultures become very complementary because they've got all these material resources. They're super into servitude, helping people. Christians need these resources so badly because they're so badly persecuted, at certain periods of time. So, they were quite complementary. But we clash because Muslims do not learn spiritual protection. And what's their big issue with us? What's their big issue with Christians? They think that we are kind of lazy, like we don't want to work hard. No, it's just like everything we work hard for gets taken some way, shape, or form. Like there's a lot of reasons why Christians could be perceived as lazy, because we are redeemed from slavery through Jesus Christ. I don't feel like a slave, therefore I don't operate like a slave. So it's the spiritual difference between accepting Christ as your savior and then also being aware of spiritual warfare. They don't have the Christian savior, right? They need to learn it, they need to accept it, they need to adapt to it, and then they are not taught that there's anything wrong with the world around them. So if somebody just works you to death and pays you virtually no money, you're supposed to be okay with that. Especially if you're in a third world country, like Berkay worked for Apple. He worked for Apple in Istanbul. He was like, but you worked your ass off. Yeah, they made you feel kind of special, but they also expected you to pick up the phone middle of the night. They expected you to work 24 hours and paid you shit for money because the economy is so bad. And I think a lot of Muslims wouldn't really think much of it. They would say, I'm so happy to be working at Apple in Istanbul. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to be working at this company in a third world country, even though they don't know they're treated like shit. I don't know. It's like something like in him was like, I gotta get away out of that world. He's out of that world completely. He was such an Apple fag for a while. Looked just like one. I was like, oh my God, dude, I would have never talked to you. Would have never been attracted to you. You look like you watched way too much porn, waxed your balls, and ironed your shirts. No, actually, you brought your laundry to the dry cleaner instead, and you never cooked. You only ordered takeout, like living the American Psycho equivalent of Istanbul, Turkey, working at Apple. I was like, dude, I would have never paid attention to you. You look like an American Psycho. These American Psycho types. But yeah, I mean, there's something that stirs in your spirit that's like, this is not right. And that's the only reason why he got out of it. But as a Christian, we know this is not right because we are not meant to be at that level of slavery. To what? Corporate globalism? Oh, Marge, thanks for commenting. No woman wants to babysit their husband. Yeah, it's so weird. We're all experiencing this phenomenon in America. It's like seemingly all at once. It's like all the content right now is like how funny it is to like deal with these urban men, these westernized men. I don't know. It's like not like we're mean, but there was a funny one I saw last night. It was, if you've ever had to use soft parenting techniques on a grown man. He's not the one. There's this guy, he makes funny videos. He's like a dad, and he's like, if your dude just went to Burning Man to have a spiritual awakening, he's not the one. It's that European guy with the blonde hair. He goes, next. If he asks you to split the bill, he's not the one. Next. And he's got like a whole Instagram of funny sayings at that. We're just dealing with a westernized group of deceived men who like didn't they were not raised how to act like men. And maybe part of it, the emasculation of men was a good thing because how angry, and I wonder deep down, how angry do men feel when they can't do they feel helpless against this shit? So do they not care? Or do they just feel like they're not allowed to care because they'll just kill somebody, right? They'll just like become violent. Because back in the day, you would follow the horseshoe to the horse and whip its ass. Back in the day, you had brothers in arms that were like, let's go find these people and freaking rip them out of their homes. Oh, migration much? Illegal migration much? What does that sound like? I'm telling you, maybe these illegal immigrants are going to be like elite status foreigners who are going to be excellent spouses to some of the American women who are so sick of the effeminate men. I'm like, not sick of them. We're just kind of like, we just can't do anything with them. Like, you can't do anything with them. Like, nothing ever happens. Like, nothing changes. Like, you're not going anywhere. You're not making any fruit. You're not building any fruit. You're just, I don't know. But then, a lot of men were taught masculinity is money. And that's really paying off now, too. Money and generosity, which is better than violence. How many of these men have just all ingrained in their DNA to just be such killing machines. And then here in America, it's like, okay, well, we're going to deprogram from that. We're going to reprogram with this need for a lot of money, which is proving to be helpful in my case this year. So that's part of it. It's not all bad. But a lot, like some of the millennials, and it's really bad. But there's more people are voicing this so they can check themselves. Unused baby clothes. Yeah, Bukowski said. Bukowski, Charles. Happiness comes from finding identity or knowing yourself. It's like knowing yourself, identity. Yeah, so that's why people join all these like kind of social weird dead internet cults. They're all mockingbirding each other because people are so alone and lonely and they feel happiness from identifying with something or someone or some group, or I go to Burning Man, or I am a beer drinker, I'm a craft beer drinker, or I don't know. All kinds of weird little cults people join. These little urban socialite cults. Boyfriend follow Islam. Like, not really. So the satanic Muslim group that were his handlers, they try to keep him thinking he's Muslim, but he's not really. He accepts the salvation of Jesus, and he mostly doesn't care and hates religion. But I mean, they come around like monkeys banging cymbals around and great, like creating this grand facade that they're these like ultra elite Turkish Muslim people, but they're super satanic. It's super antichrist, and it's his mind control. They trying to keep him thinking he's Muslim, like full blown, like celebrate everything, do everything, but he don't really give a shit. It just depends on who he's around. One of his friends got him to break Ramadan, and I was sort of sketched out by the events that they had planned that weekend. But I was like, But he did get him to break Ramadan, which is pretty dope. But I also was kind of like, yeah, I don't really like that they invited you out to your ranch and you got blackout drunk riding ATVs around. Don't like that at all. Like, I did not want to go. It was Easter weekend. I didn't want to go because I'm like, it's Easter weekend. It's a weekend to spiritually observe the resurrection of Christ. I'm not going out to, hang with a bunch of frat dudes on a ranch and ATVs. No freaking way. And I was sort of annoyed that he was going, but he did break Ramadan that weekend. So I was like, that was nice. You know, just trip up one program with another program. But how programmed are people? They're so autopilot, like without love and like without like being surrounded by the truth. Bunch of people who lie, just a bunch of liars all the time. All they do is lie to each other, and they never stop talking. Just lies, 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 lies. We're so fabulous. Lies, lies, lies. We're the Turkish people, even though none of us are actually fucking from Turkey. We just pretend we are. They're fucking liars. Everything about them is a lie. They're inverted people. The wife is a lesbian. The dude is gay and probably a pedophile. Everything about their existence is a lie. This is what the best handlers, the most evil handlers are ones who are such an inversion of reality, appearing to be so upright and identify so closely with their target, which is directly related to the mission, which is to keep the spiritual blinders on and away from Jesus Christ, salvation, the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the heart to feel, right? The wits about them to break out of the matrix, at least in a sense. I mean, but God's will be done. I win, gamer. I win. I'm the best gamer in the world. I win. I used to win, but also get mad. I don't get mad anymore. I just win because I know how. It's a game. Like, this is a game. This is a matrix. It's like you level up. New game, new territory, same tactic, different people, little different details. The background's different. You got more cheat codes, right? You got out of your sin. You're deeper in the Holy Spirit. You got more cheat codes with God. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying the fun stream. Yeah, it's been a while since I just shot the breeze with y'all. I know, who doesn't love Jamaican people, right? Yeah, this whole like white black thing is so stupid. But the whole white Middle Eastern thing, I get it. Middle Eastern men are very abrasive to an American Caucasian woman. It's kind of like we have like what each other needs, but like it's way too deficit on another side. Like, I'm so deficit. I'm in such deficit in my material world. Berkai, they come for our money. They love our money, so they come make money. But like so deficit in like the love portion, which is what I've got a lot of. But I'm gonna let that ship sail, I think. I mean, that would take a miracle. I mean, that would take like when I say like make America be run by mystical men again, like John Smith and from the Mormons. This dude just like, I don't know, followed a bunch of Indians into the woods and like discovered gold and ate some shrooms and took off to a foreign land and came back and started a religion and a mafia, like just this mystical man who started Mormonism. Like, make America be run by that level of mysticism again. It could happen. I mean, I have seen like gold specks flying around in the air. I've seen like stuff that's like, either that's Project Bluebeam or it's something mystical. It's gonna take a miracle to pull the blinders off of these dudes' eyes, but I think that's exactly what God has in store for people. But I wonder if it's a far more like polygamous culture, not like polygamy, like, gross, but just kind of like people don't really care. And I don't know. I don't know. Like, could I have five husbands and like my husband have like five wives? It depends, but I think that's how it used to be way back in the day with like, I mean, with non terrestrial civilizations, I hear that's the way it is. We might be going back to that, but not forced, just something that just sort of happens kind of like completely right, like natural. Never. He was so funny. Iron your shirt and shave your balls, but don't iron your balls and shave your shirt. Nigeria is a Commonwealth member. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. I don't really know what that means, but it sounds nice. I just like whenever I encounter a Nigerian, I feel a sense of relief, and I'm gonna listen to everything they say, whether it's a TikTok or they're in some kind of servitude here in America. I'm just like, oh my god, they're the smartest people ever. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what you got to tell me. I trust them so much. Dude, this Nigerian dude he used to be the doorman. When I moved here, my first like serious toxic boy, not toxic in a bad way, just really shocking relationship. Um, when I moved here, the doorman to his apartment building was this really nice Nigerian guy. And I think he saw me coming and going, and I think he saw other girls coming and going because men are so freaking brainwashed by their stupid friends in the urban culture, at least back in 2013, that they thought they were supposed to just like move to the city, make a ton of money, and just sleep with as many women as they can, different woman every night, like all the rap songs tell them to do. Like, I don't think this dude was ill spirited at all. In fact, I sensed the opposite. But I knew that he was so brainwashed by this urban, yuppie, ball shaven, white collar, country club, cuck asshole world that told him to sleep with as many chicks as he can. And I think the doorman saw that. And one time I left, forgot my phone. He jumps in the shower. My boyfriend at the time jumps in the shower, and I got to go to work. And I'm like calling him, calling him, calling. He's not answering because he's in the shower. And I'm like, but I got to go to work, but I also got to get my phone. I'm calling him probably from the phone in the lobby. And the Nigerian dude was like, I'm just going to let you in there. He's like, but don't tell him that I let you in there. And because I think he was just like so wanting to be nice and like help me out, but like wasn't really thinking it through. And I was like, but if you let me in there to get the phone, he's gonna know why. And he was like, whatever, I don't give a fuck, and like let me in. But I was like, I love this doorman. They were the doormen in that building in the beginning days were so good, but then they got taken over by the most ridiculous people. Like the whole building got taken over by the most ridiculous people as nature would have it. And he still fucking lives there, surrounded by evil motherfuckers. But he probably can't even sense it because his light burns so bright. I bet you he doesn't even notice. Like he's got like unlimited supply for all the evil in the world. Like that's how big of an angel I sensed this dude was. But so heavily programmed and brainwashed by his particular social engineering geared towards his particular demographic in America. Disgusting. I was brainwashed into thinking I had to be famous, skinny, maybe a model, celebrity, an actress. That was my programming, was to get famous in any way that I could figure out how. That was my programming that started to break around the same time. Like, I thought that was what life was all about. How stupid. How dumb. I actually almost got a nose job, almost got a boob job. Thank God I didn't. That was my programming. Get the American standard nose job, boob job. Duh. You're old enough, you have enough money to do it now. Go do it. Duh. And I had the consultation and I left there feeling like I actually really don't want this. And I'm so glad because I love my nose and I love my tits. They're perfect just the way they are. Natural looking, authentic looking, like a natural Aphrodite. Just a handful, anything more than a handful is just a waste. It gets pretty sloppy, gets pretty messy. It's hard on the back. They sag more when you're older. And then anything less is, that's unfortunate. Maybe they would want a little bit of a augmentation. But, you know, what the hell was I thinking? That was my programming. Thank God it didn't happen. All right. I gotta go. My back starts to hurt. Isn't that weird? Like it's been hurting and I've been wanting to go. But like I've been enjoying it so much. But truthfully, it's the top of my back, like in the base of my neck starts to hurt. Don't know why. All right. We need hip hop beats on top of my rapping. Definitely have warrior ancestry. Yeah, I made a new friend, and he told me that he like in a lot of men they have serious memories or regressions or dreams of being in like violent warfare. Not that long ago either. It's still ingrained in them. Or like why do you like certain things that you like that are so unique? It's just like something in our culture, in your creed, in your species. It's like it's so ingrained in you. Oh, I should. Yeah, it's a good idea. Go fishing. That's a good idea to go fishing. I did get a fishing pole. I got to use it. Oh, and Catholics, yeah, same for Catholic. Yeah, what's the big Catholic like social programming break? Oh, it was all the gay priests, pedophile priests. Yeah, the Catholics had their little shake up a long time ago. God has what I need exactly. And all men and women need God. So, even if you met someone that's sort of your like perfect complement opposite, like that person needs God also. Because if they're not chasing after God, then they are by default, the God in them is against God's will for your life and your life joined together, which will never happen if dudes don't turn and face their maker. Will the US resolve and save itself going forward? Question mark. Oh, I don't know, but I don't think so. Does anyone want it to? Like, I think we just want to start the new world order. Because I think, I mean, like in the cool people in the US, yeah, like we're all good. Like all the cool people in the world are going to move forward together. And then some massive wake up, shake up, war, alien abduction is going to kind of like sort out whatever. But Jesus Christ is for the whole world. I think it's a spiritual revolution for the whole world under Jesus Christ. Because you can go all over the world and meet people on the other side of the world, and you might come from incredibly different backgrounds, but there is a familial feeling because of the love for humanity, love, and, Jesus, God of love. So like the whole world needs to now like move forward in that regard. In my from my it's not objective, from my opinion, being in America, I think most like the because I follow a lot of Christians that are like militant Christians like myself. None of us are like, can we please hang on to America? Like, yeah, you prayed mercy for a couple years, but at this point, we're all like, let's just bring it on. Like, let's just like rip the band-aid off. I mean, praying for mercy still, of course, and praying for people and like trying to tell people to prepare. But like, I gotta tell you like some real intense realness. And like people couldn't just go out and say this, but I'll tell you what, when a few weeks ago, when I made a post to help single women, food for their children, groceries. Like, I'll deliver it. Let me know what you need. Get a list together. Give me a list. And it was three different women, that jumped on it right away. And then there were like throughout the week, there were more women that were reaching out, but I was having car trouble. I didn't have air conditioning. And I don't know. I don't know what money is. Did I have the money? I don't know. Like, I don't have money's the weirdest thing in the world in my life. It's in and it's out. Do I have it? Do I not have it? I don't know. I never think like I don't. But also, I was having this sort of moment where I was like, okay, it's nice to help these women out. It makes me feel good. I barely saw them. Like, I didn't really see them. Which is fine. Like, it's all good. Like, it's all good. And like, Holy Spirit was working through that whole operation. One girl had a family emergency, and this other girl ended up getting all her groceries. And I was like, well, she's supposed to end up that way, which turns out she needed it because she had three older kids too. So, my initial kind of thought is like, well, like men in America suck, and a lot, not all of them, but like a lot of these men have left the women. Also, women have made themselves undesirable to men because there's all a lack of God. There's all a lack of God, like in the situation, right? If you rely too much on men to be more like, they can't be God. Like, they cannot protect you when the aliens in the backyard are shooting lasers out of their eyeballs. Your husband can't protect you. So I think women became undesirable with a godlessness, putting their husbands above God in place of God, like responsible for every little thing that goes wrong in their life, which made their personalities bad at the very least. And then, men just being such cheaters and perverts. And then, the men are no longer around the women. Maybe they didn't take care of the kids. Maybe they died, whatever it may be. But without a man around, it's pretty impossible to protect a kid. Near impossible, especially without God. And these women have so many kids. Like, some of them had so many kids and are so poor. And I don't sit in judgment of them. They're deceived. It's the way that they were brought up. Also in the Bible it says, be fruitful and multiply. Okay, there's a fine line though. Also, where's the fruit? Be fruitful and multiply, and like stay in fervent search for God's will for your life, and let God be the provider. In America, people got so far away. In the westernized culture, people got so far away from this. So now you got 9, 10 kids with like 4 different dudes, and I'm like, dude, why? Like, this is so irresponsible. It's deceived. They're deceived people. It's also irresponsible. Like, it's also ignorance. And that also made me very annoyed. Just gonna say it. Like, it sounds so terrible, but it opened my eyes to something. I'm sitting here just thinking men ain't shit, not taking care of the kids. These fuckers left. They're addicted to porn and crack. I'm thinking this, and that's part of it. But then there's a whole other part of it. Like, how irresponsible is it for people to have 6, 9, 10 kids and not be in some kind of extreme wealth or have some kind of like big ass family to help everybody out. It's not the case. Sad. And I'm like, I can't tell anybody how I really felt after that, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, what you did is, I don't like gloat about it, but I don't give people too many opportunities because I don't really tell people all about the charity work I do. Every time I do something, I don't tell everybody, maybe I got some testimony that I want to share with you about it. But yeah, this is something I wanted to share also that I didn't speak up yet about. And I wanted to say it also kind of left me feeling jaded, disenfranchised, because why are people so irresponsible? It's also infuriating because the kids that suffer, yeah, the parents are suffering. They don't know anything other than suffering, right? They've been in survival mode ever since they started having kids. They haven't been able to get out of it. That's all they know is fear and suffering, fear and suffering. Kids don't even know the Bible. They can't read. Sad. All right. It's irresponsible. Her Lady Babylon channel? No. Amon has some, I'll write it down. And no, it doesn't make me think we should have more abortions and more pills and more birth control. I think people just need to stop breeding like rabbits. They need to start, like, it's a culture of lust, which goes away with the Whore of Babylon, Mystery Babylon. Lust creates children that nobody wants. When a man and a woman is in love and that is their premise for having a family, they want the kids. They're going to eternally want the kids. They're going to eternally want each other because the relationship is rooted in love. When people are so deceived by a culture and they have now replaced love with lust, you have tons of kids that nobody wants. That's just the reality. It's a culture of lust. Everything wrong with America. The money and the lust, and it's all a part of the culture of the woman upside down, the inverted woman, the Delulu woman, the delusional female, the control freak female, right? The weakness of men, they just want to be ruled over by women. There's no love there. It's equal. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. My back hurts. Gotta go. All right. Yeah, lust is a bad one. I feel like this year it's really getting purified. It's major topic this year. Yep, bad relationships, love versus lust. It's pornography. A lot of people breaking pornography addictions. Great. We're really making room on this. All right. Well, that's that. You're the right kind of people. Love y'all so much. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up because it sends a signal to me you liked it, or maybe people didn't like it. Like, but if I don't remind people to like tell me when you like a video, then you know then the communication's a little off. Peace. All right, check you later.